So we're going to look at how to um, do some simplification of radicals. So, for example, let's say that I was given this problem, where it's the square root of 64 over 25, and I was asked to simplify this. So this radical, you see how the whole fraction is underneath the radical? It does not look like this. So these would be two different problems. So I'm telling you that this is the problem that you're given. This radical sign, the square root specifically, applies to both the numerator and the denominator. So you would take the square root of 64 and you would say that's 8, and then you would take the square root of 25 and you would say that it's 5, and then you would have your answer. So the square root of 64 over 25 simplifies to 8 over 5. Now what about if your problem looks like this? And when, by the way, when you're simplifying these, you want to look at the principal square root, so just the positive value. Um, what about, though, if the problem that you have looks something like this? What do I do in this case? So I have a variable now under the radical sign. Um, and so I can take the square root of 64. So I can split this up to look like this, because the square root of 64 x to the 8th power, you can rewrite it split apart like that. So then I could split it into this form I'm showing you on the right hand side. And I can take the square root of 64, and then I can see about simplifying this. The square root of 64 is 8. And what is x to the 8th, the square root of? So to do this, let's break down what we are doing with the square root of 64. So for the square root of 64, what I'm really doing to calculate it is you take 64, and there's a couple ways to approach it. You can say, well, um, we talked about in an earlier video about the squares. So I wrote out all my squares here. And now I'm going to look for my radicand. I'm going to look if any of these values, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, and so on, are factors of the radicand. And in this case, 64 is, and 64, the square root of it would be 8. So we'll keep that in the back of our mind when we go to simplify some of these and they don't work out to be integers. But 64, if I prime factored it, it's made up of 8 times 8. And 8 is not prime. It's made up of 2 times 4. And then if I prime factor it completely, I get this. So 64 is the same as saying 2 times itself 6 times. And so another way to approach square root problems is to take a look at, for a square root, you're looking for pairs. This does not work for the cubic root, the fourth root, fifth root. You have to match the index. So in a cubic root problem, we would be looking for triples. In this case, the index here is 2, so we're looking for doubles. So pairs. So I'm going to highlight the pairs. I've got 3 pairs of 2s. And what happens is that those pairs can be pulled out in the front as 1. So we'd have 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So when you approach something with a variable, x to the 8th power, we'll write it out. X to the 8th is x times itself 8 times. And then look for pairs. So we've got 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, 4 pairs. So this would be, pull each of these out, it would be x times x times x times x, which would be x to the 4th. So my answer here would be 8x to the 4th when I simplify it. Now I'm going to show you one other way to approach this problem. So if you have the square root of 64 times x to the 8th, this index, remember, the index is that number that's written in this little v here. But in the square root problem, if you don't see an index, if you don't see an index number on your radical, the square root has an index of 2. It's not written. So this 2, we can rewrite it as a rational exponent. And so we've got 2 things multiplied. We have 64 and we have x to the 8th. So 64 can be written as 64, and then the exponent on the 64 would be 1. So it would be 64 to the 1/2 times x to the 8 over 2 power. 64 to the 1/2 is the same as the square root of 64, or 8. And then we simplify this exponent to become x to the 4th power. So my answer is 8x to the 4th. So there's a few ways you can approach these problems. If it is the cubic root, so let's say you had the cubic root of a negative 216. So now when we see, like if you see the square root of a negative 25, this radicand on a square root cannot be negative. This ends up being a complex number. It's not a real number. So you would say not a real number. And the reason behind this is because there is nothing I can multiply. Like, I can't take 5 times 5 and get negative 25. I can't take, you have to duplicate it. So negative 5 times negative 5 is not negative 25. So there is no value that goes in here. It ends up being a complex number, an imaginary number. But that's what square roots, 4th root, 6th root, it's the even roots. You can't take that root of a negative number. But when we have 3rd root, 5th root, 7th root, you can take the cubic root of a negative number. 216, you can take the cubic root of 216. Now, you can put this in the calculator if you'd like. We're not, the cubic roots we're not very familiar with. This ends up being negative 6, because negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6 is a negative 216. So I'm putting this in the calculator. You would hit the math button. You would choose number 4. This is on the TI 384. And then you'd put in negative 216. Let's look at some more that we would have to simplify. Let's say I have the square root of 9t to the 5th. So I could break this apart. It's the square root of 9 times the square root of t to the 5th. And that would become 3 times this. And then t to the 5th, I'm going to show you both ways again. t to the 5th means t times itself 5 times. And then pulling out any pairs, this is a pair, this is another pair, I can pull each of those out. They'll come out in front of the radical sign as 1. So it becomes 3 times t times t. And then I'm left with, I still have one of them under there. I can't simplify that further. So this would be my answer here. And the other way you can write this is, I had mentioned that there's an index of 2 here. So you would take the exponent 5 and write it in rational form, and the 2 becomes the denominator. So then when you look at this, this is 3 times t to the 2.5. So it would be 3 of t squared, and then you have t to the 1/2, or 3t squared square root of 2. So same thing either way. Let's look some more at rewriting these in exponential notation. So let's say we had x to the 9 over 2 power. I'm sorry. Let's start with it like this, and then we'll go the other way. So let's say we had something like this. How do you write this in exponential as an exponential expression? So I'm going to, the index becomes my denominator. So t to the 4 over 9. So the 4 stays as this is the numerator, and this would be the denominator. So this is written in radical form, and this is written as exponential expression. And it can come in handy to use sometimes. And it goes the other way too, which is what I had started writing out. What if I have x to the 2/3 power, and I want to write it in radical form? So this is an exponential form. How can I write it in radical form? So the denominator becomes the index. And so these are equal to each other. This is just written in exponential form as an exponential expression, and this is written as in a radical form. And when we have problems like, for example, 25 to the 2/3 power, or let me get a different one. Let's say we have 64 to the 2/3 power. I can rewrite that, and it can be the cubic root of 64 squared. And I can take, let's see, 64 the cubic root of 64 squared. I could multiply this out. I could say 64 squared, and I could calculate that out, but I don't want to use a calculator. How can I do this by hand? It's like you're taking both of these. I'm going to rewrite it like that. And the cubic root of 64, well, what number times itself 3 times gives you 64? And the answer is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Now, could you have taken 64 and squared it? Yes. You would end up with this. And then the cubic root of that is 16. 16 times 16 times 16 is 4,096. So either way, we end up with this value. We'll do some more simplification.